everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Joyce and I'm here this week with another video that's been inspired by an article that I read. Now the article could be complete bull, but it has a lesson, and purely because it's from, popular media. So you never know whether it's the truth or it's fiction, but I thought worth discussing. And it was inspired by Kelly Osbourne, who is an actress and a TV personality. And the article, well, actually is a podcast that she allegedly said that she had, when she was pregnant with her son. She has an 8-month-old son right now. And when she was pregnant with her son, she hid for 9 months. Well, obviously it can't be 9 months, can it? Because the first 3 months you hardly ever see anything. So she maybe possibly hid for the last 6 months of her pregnancy. But to be fair, she lives in Beverly Hills, and so she probably has a lot more land to walk about than the average Joe Blogs. So but nonetheless, she had to hide for 9 months, 6-9 months, because she didn't want the media to see her and label her as fat, because apparently she's had a really rough time with the media saying she was always obese, and she didn't present the right body image and all that jazz. But I think what that got me thinking about was how we can almost let other people's opinions about us change who we are. Now, of course, I'm not a celebrity. I have no idea what they deal with. And I know it can't be easy, because the press is constantly trying to tell you who they are. And we don't know them. We don't know how they live. Some of it is true. Most of it, I doubt, is. And so people form, people that devour this news form ideas and images about the particular said person. And so it can, I guess, provide a very negative view. And she didn't want that. She didn't want people to call her fat. She didn't want people to have ideas of who she was. She wasn't ready to say when she was pregnant and, maybe jinx the pregnancy. I don't know what's going on behind her mind, inside her mind rather. And so nonetheless, the lesson for me is this, or the message that kind of prompted this, was how we can let other people really define who we are. And there's a quote by E.E. Cummings, who was a poet and a writer, sort of born late 1894, I think, to about 1964. Now, don't quote me, I could be wrong in those dates. And it says this in his quote. It says, to be, what does it say? To be nobody but yourself in a world that is, what does it say? To be nobody but yourself in a world that is doing its best night and day to make you everybody else, means to fight the biggest, I think, or the hardest battle any human being will have to fight, and never stop fighting. So essentially, we have to fight to be who we are, as opposed to what the world is telling us we are. And I think that's kind of the essence of what the world is right now. We are always being told, as a woman, for example, what we should be doing, what jobs we should be having, which, how long our dresses should be or short, what kind of body we should be having, etc., etc. Everybody does have a place in this world. And I think the people that have transcended or become, less than average, are people that have decided to be exactly who they are. And so I guess my message for you today is, don't accept what other people are trying to tell you. If you have a vision and a dream for what you want to be in your life, I've just seen my hair's not sitting right there, please excuse me. So if you want to be something that's outside of the norm, probably nobody in your family has ever done it. Perhaps, you hear a lot of negative messages about what you want to be, and you're kind of in that stage where you don't know whether to pursue it or not. Or, for example, in social media, where more followers equals the quality of your message, we all know that that's not true. Often I hear a message and I think, oh, I'm sure somebody else has said that. And they may not have, you know, a million followers, but the message and the essence is exactly the same. And so, you know, you can't hinge your life's purpose and your daily activity and your vision and the joy to be able to enjoy life as you want it. You cannot let other people hold you bound, because I think people really don't care. People don't care unless they can make money off of you, which was probably the thing with Kelly Osbourne. You know, she's a TV personality. When she's in newspapers, they sell. You know, if you get a picture of her, I suppose, you'd go to the highest bidder, and that would usually mean a lot of money for the photographer and all of that stuff. And so, you know, she let what people think about her really rob her, I feel, of the joy of doing the things that she would have normally done had she not been pregnant, right? And so for you can't do that. You cannot let other people define what you do because of fear. And I guess for her, she has a lot more to lose. So I'm not gonna, you know, this is not about her, but I'm weaving into what I'm trying to say. Whatever that means for you, because we, you know, may not be Kelly Osbourne, but we all have our lives. And, you know, that can be restricted by, for example, what a family think about what we're doing. You know, what the religion, if you practice a religion, what that might mean for you. If you are, you know, if you've been expected to do, or you've always done something a certain way, you know, and to veer from that might be, you know, people might start asking you weird questions. But if it means that you get to help them, if it means for you that you'll make money, and then therefore they'll be able to benefit from that. Or if you go, you know, for example, if you wanted to, you know, I don't know, go somewhere that you've never been and your friend is a Uber driver or a taxi driver, they might encourage you because that means for them they'll be able to make money that evening or whatever. People don't care unless they can make money off of you. And when I say people, I should really redefine that as most people, because, you know, the world's not all evil. You know, we all know people in our world that are absolutely champions for what we do and really genuine. And so, you know, take that with a pinch of salt. I'm going to redefine that to some people. Most people don't care unless they can make money off of you. You know, even business owners, you know, people don't care about, you know, how you get to work, as long as you get to work, you know. For those of us that are employed, your manager doesn't care about your mental well-being. Your company doesn't care about, you know, what happened to you the day before. I remember when my brother passed away very suddenly, and I had to deliver a talk at work, and I had to deliver it. Now, I did say something to my manager like a few hours before, and she said, look, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I recognize the impact of me not showing up for that meeting would have meant. And so I did it. You know, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have cared so much about what they thought. But at the time, which was about 2 years ago, I did. And so, you know, all that to say, sometimes we do things because we care about what people think, but I think we need to really start shifting our mindset from that and focusing on really what we feel is important. And I think for me at that point, it was about, you know, if I don't show up for this meeting, a lot of people are going to have ideas as to why I didn't do it. And so it really was for my benefit to turn up. And I was in a space where I think I was in so much shock that I was able to do it. And I don't know, hindsight's always a good thing, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that one. The other thing is, people really don't care unless you do better than them, right? As long as you're kind of mediocre and, you know, you're in the same space as everybody else, people really don't care. They start caring when you start doing or being better, or their perception of what better is. It might be a better job, it might be, eating better than, they are, or you want to improve your well-being. It might be that you're trying to go to the gym to improve your fitness, whatever that might be. The only time people will show concern is when they think, oh, she's doing something, she's trying to be better, I better try and pull her down. You'll hear, that's when you get to hear the snide remarks, or, how awful that diet is, or how they knew somebody who ate that way and ended up really poorly, or, how expensive it might be, or how, gyms are phobic, whatever else. If you want to immigrate to another country, they might start talking about how, they've heard stories about that country. And that's purely because if you move, they have to move. Because if they don't move, then they look a lot worse than they'd like to look. So the best way for them, and the easiest way for them, is to actually try and pull you down so that, they don't have to improve. Then they care. Some people, most people, I think, don't want you to improve. The other thing is, I think that most people really don't care unless they need something from you. And this has been a really massive one. I actually realized the other day about a friend of mine that I was quite suspicious as to why she was quite kind to me. I wouldn't go too much into the detail, but she encouraged me to go for this particular purchase because she couldn't afford it. And she started, little by little, she was sort of, dropping hints as to, how is that going? Are you using it this weekend? I'd like to be able to do A, B, and C. And me, in my naivety, sort of said, oh yeah, of course you can borrow it. Until I found out that she was spending more time with the item than I was. And that's when I realized, that's what that was. The reason why she wanted me to buy it is so that she could use it. Now, most people are not like that. And I'm trying to think maybe her intention was, slightly different. But we all know that maybe it wasn't. And I could be wrong. But I think for me, now my antennas are all the way up. Because I'm sort of thinking, I wonder why she's doing that. I wonder why she's encouraging me to do that. And so moving forward, like I said, I'm going to stay aware so that because if she can do that in that aspect, what other aspects is she kind of milking me? Now, of course, she's a new friend. It's been 6 months. And so let's see how this one pans out. But, that doesn't mean that you cannot be authentically yourself. It just means that you have to work a lot harder in terms of, sifting the wheat, I guess, from the chaff. Take the time to spend time by yourself. I can never tell you enough how powerful that is. Because the more you spend time with yourself, the more you understand yourself. Know thyself, is one of the most powerful, I think, statements I've ever heard. Because when you know yourself, you get to be more confident with yourself. You get to, really hear from your heart what it is you're wanting to follow, where your North Star is. But if you don't, you end up being everybody else. What the world is telling you about what you should be wearing, what career you should be following, what books you should be reading, what your language should be like, what your mental capacity should be. And we cannot afford for you to live your life, for myself certainly, to live my life based on what somebody else's opinion is of me. I guess another thing I wanted to say about this is, take time to not consume so much of the mass media. I think it's really important to know where the world is, but don't be that kind of person that wakes up and listens to the news 2 or 3 times a day and goes to bed listening to the news, wakes up again to find out what's happening in the world, because it can be quite poisonous. Mass media can be really, really, really poisonous. And so I would say, come away from it as much as you can. Try and see if you can read some good news as possible. The other thing I would say is try and read good books, whether this is philosophy, religion, self-help. Try and infuse your mind with positive and good and encouraging stories. Now, that's not to say, I think there's always a lesson in everything, whether it's negative or positive. So have that balance. You don't want to be one of those people that are, sort of, what is it that they call it? Toxic positivity, where everything is just like, oh my God, it's all sweetness and light, because nothing else is. Where there is light, there's always darkness. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, because without darkness, we wouldn't know what light looks like. Have some sort of anchor in your life, whether that's religion or nature or, whatever that is. For most people, it is religion, but it doesn't have to be. You can be a good person. I truly believe that, a good person without religion. So, but for me, spirituality is a huge part of my life. That's not to say I go to church every Sunday or go to church, period. But, I'll leave that for another day. And I think the last thing I would say is surround yourself with good people. Don't be afraid to explore new relationships and new opportunities. Of course, it just means that sometimes you'll see, wolves in sheep's clothing. And that's not a bad thing. I think life is always going to be that. There's always going to be that mix. But if you know yourself, and you take the time to, explore those relationships, don't rush into anything. Especially when people start love bombing you, it's time to kind of step away and evaluate. But take your time to get to know people. It's good to have new people in your life every so often, but be careful. What is it that they say? Make new friends, but keep the old ones, because one is silver and the other is gold. So surround yourself with good people. I've really enjoyed one of the things that I appreciate about my life is a variety of it and the kind of different people I get to meet every so often. Of course, I take my time. So like the friend that I mentioned earlier, I've known since 2020, and only the last 6 months have we started getting close. And now I'm kind of watching that one to see how that relationship pans out. But it's good to have people in your life. But more than that, it's not just people. It's people that you admire, people that you want to be like, people that influence you in a positive way, people that cause you to, step up higher in life. Because they're there. There are many, many good people in this world. But it takes time for us to be able to unpack and explore and unveil ourselves to others. So, do you see how I slid myself in there? Anyway, this is way too long than I intended it to be. I hope that's been helpful. So if anything else, go into this world this week doing your best to be authentic, to be true to yourself, and more than anything, to be a kind person. The world needs more kindness in this world. Sorry, what did I say? The world needs more kindness. So I hope that's been helpful. Have an amazing week, and I will speak to you next week. Take care. Bye.